the game. School's back in session, and your favorite teachers are back here for Cinefellas. I'm teacher and also known as Mr. Logan Myers. That's my good mate over there.
I'll be your student. I'm Uncle Henry Hill.
Oh, quite the page turner, aren't you? Tonight we're back talking more Mr. Corman that premiered on Apple TV Plus. The creative mind of Mr. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, one of our favorite actors in the industry, behind the show, writing, directing, producing, starring. And this is really his passion project, his story about what he goes through as his character, Mr. Corman, a school teacher, and dealing with anxiety in life and being single and all the problems that come along with that. But tonight we're talking about episodes 3 and 4. Episode 4 just premiered last Friday, so we'll be back talking about the next 2 episodes in the coming weeks. Episode 3 is titled Happy Birthday! It's a glorious and wonderful birthday party for Mr. Corman and his family, but not really.
No, as we've come to expect in these first batch of episodes from Mr. Corman, his family life's a little rough. You know, he has this mom played by Deborah Winger who's kind of overbearing on him. They share a weird relationship. They both have their quirks. Mr. Corman, has full-on anxiety at this point in his life. He doesn't, really have a purpose. He's hasn't had any love in his life for a while, so he's kind of lost at this point in his life. And in this episode, we go to a birthday party at his sister's house. One of his sister's daughters, Mr. Corman's niece, is having this birthday party. So, Josh and his mom head on over to the birthday party, and we deal with more Mr. Corman's existential crisis, where he's talking to the niece and, questioning God, the existence of God, and typical Mr. Corman here. He's always questioning things. He doesn't quite have a purpose in life here. And he's kind of, when he's talking to his niece, his sister overhears him and she's like, oh, same old Josh over here. Quit being a prick. Don't teach my daughter to be as cynical as you about life. So we see the relationship between Josh and his sister in this episode. Mostly that's what this whole episode revolves around, their family dynamic and how the sister and Josh, we learn more about how they grew up, how they both basically struggled through their childhood with their parents. Obviously we're going to meet the father later in Mr. Corman here, but we know from the get-go that their childhood had a lot to do with how they turned out as adults.
Yeah, his sister seems more normal. I mean, she's a mom, has a daughter, and he's, a teacher, single, living in an apartment with a roommate, like not doing good. And you can see they're completely different people. Like she grew up a lot and where he didn't. He was a musician and became a teacher because he kind of gave up on that dream. And they're 2 different places. They really don't get along. And she's like really pissed off at him because of the conversation that Mr. Corman had with the daughter about God and not being real and stuff like that. So that's a pretty interesting part of the episode where they're pretty much fighting in like the laundry room or garage or something. But you can see they don't like each other. His, the family dynamic is not there. They're broken. These brother and sister are pretty broken from their childhood, their parents, and what happens to them. So you can see as adults are still struggling with a lot of things. And it sets a really pretty weird third act when they're driving back from the birthday party and it's all awkward because the family party didn't go very well. There's a lot of tension in the car ride home and it turns into this weird ass musical and kind of ends. So not what I expected because it's really dark and then it gets all happy and kind of weird towards the end. But that's pretty much like what's going on in this guy's mind with anxiety and things he's dealing with and pressure and everything else in life. So pretty much summed it up with the ending of the episode.
At heart, Josh is an artist, and that kind of is reflected at the end of the episode there with the little musical number between him and Deborah Winger. They're sort of talking. He gets out of his car and then it leads into this big musical number, and they're sort of talking with each other about their life and stuff throughout this song and dance that they do on top of a roof. And there's some really cool visuals with that scene. But yeah, it is pretty, it's just, it feels like this is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's just like art piece. Like he's just doing everything that he ever wanted to on a project and throwing it in, even though if it didn't really have any, it didn't really escalate the story and it didn't really add to it. It just felt like he was experimenting here with the whole musical number. He threw that in at the end. It didn't really add anything to the story of the whole episode. I mean, other than him and his mom, at least they're able to talk at this point and sort of are hashing things out. And hopefully over the duration of the series, they'll be able to get to the heart of what's going on between them and how Josh is feeling and how he can, get the help he needs and get out on the right track in his life. I'm going to give episode 3 of Mr. Corman, titled Happy Birthday, a 2.5 out of 5 Mr. Corman pencil pieces.
Oh, a little low score on that one. It must have been the ending that just didn't work for you. That's how kind of how I felt. It was kind of out of nowhere. Didn't make sense, but hey, it's original. He's having fun doing this. So I'll give episode 3, Happy Birthday, a 3 out of 5 Deborah Winger hair pieces. Hey, you boys.
So episode 3 wasn't the strongest of the series so far, and we will go right into episode 4, and this one's titled Mr. Morales. And right away from the get-go, we know this one's going to have a different pace, and it looks like we're going to be following old Victor himself. That's right, Josh Corman's roommate, Victor. It's going to be his whole episode here, and we're going to see about his life and his, relationship with his daughter, Gabby. So right away we see Arturo Castro. He's, obviously playing Victor, and he has been the bright spot for this show so far. There's something about him. He's just a likable character. He doesn't let things get to him like Mr. Corman does. Mr. Corman's always just a ball of anxiety and angst. And, while we've all experienced that, it's kind of disheartening to watch it on TV because you just want this guy to snap out of it, at least for 5 minutes on the show. But no, that's what Mr. Corman's dealing with in this. So it's nice to take a little detour towards the middle of this series and follow Victor's character, who's this UPS worker. He goes door to door delivering these packages. He does it with a smile on his face. He comes into, he interacts with all these different people delivering packages. It shows him going to deliver this package, and it's this single dad there. He's there with his child screaming in the background, crying in the background. So you kind of get a glimpse into other people's lives there too. He delivers the package with a smile. He says, "Hey, how you doing?" He likes what he do. He's proud to be working with the UPS. He knows that there's trajectory in this. He's going to move up. But he's going to make the most of it, so he goes around delivering his packages, and then it follows him when he gets off of work, and it's his weekend to have his daughter, Gabby, played by Miley Delgado. So we see their relationship play out through this episode.
Yeah, it's really great. It's seeing something happier in this episode, which I really appreciated. Complete opposite of Mr. Corman. Victor is very full of life and happy to be alive, I guess, and going to his job every day and not being all depressed and down about it, where Mr. Corman's complete opposite. So it was really great episode, probably my favorite of the season thus far. And it was cool seeing his relationship with his daughter. I'm in, kind of a similar situation with my son, not seeing him all the time, having him on the weekends. So I totally related to this and like how he felt. And, you only have a few days with your kid, but you kind of get in, little arguments about things, and you just try to make it better. So I thought that was really interesting and something I could relate to. And also seeing this character diving into him, we don't really know too much in the first 2 episodes, besides he's the roommate, seeing what he does for a living, where he's at as a father, and then also just trying to be a good person. I thought it was a really great episode that dived into this character more, and hopefully in the upcoming episodes, we get to see more of Victor.
Victor's a dad who's really trying his hardest, with the time he has. He sees her, probably on the weekends, much like other, dads who've, split up with their, the kid's mom. So it's a difficult dynamic, and he's trying to make the most of it. He's really trying. She's a teenager, so she's thick into these years where she doesn't want anything to do with her dad, really. She's mostly buried into her phone and on social media, and, tied up with all her friends and everything. She wants to be cool, and she sees Victor as this kind of, this embarrassing dad, kind of always trying to be up in her business. But we see Victor really trying here, really trying to do his best and have this good relationship with his daughter. It's something that we'll have to deal with, when our kids are teenagers. They're going to try to push away when we're trying to be there for them. Just something that every parent has to go through. And we see Victor in this. There's a nice little scene where they're at their apartment. Something happens in the teenage years with the daughter, and he has to kind of, smooth things out Luckily, he has this female friend come over, and she's able to sort of sit in with the daughter and talk things out, and that sort of smooths things out with his daughter and him. At the same time, they're able to bond over that. You know, his daughter saying that he has this cool older female friend, and the female friend actually likes him and thinks he's a cool guy. So it kind of ups his status in his daughter's eyes, though. But yeah, I had a good time in this episode where it was just focused on Victor. We do see Josh come in at the end there. He still does have some scenes in this towards the end of the show, but this one was all about Victor, like we mentioned, and we both had a great time with this. It sounds like this one was the strongest of the season so far for me. This is episode 4. And moving forward, I hope we get to see more episodes like this where there's some good, you feel good at the end of it and everything works out, and hopefully more hopeful moving forward. So we'll be back to review the rest of the shows. I am going to give episode 4, titled Mr. Morales, a very strong 4.5 out of 5 Mr. Corman notebook pieces.
Oh, hey, Josh, snap out of it. No, I was getting a little.
With a long face, Josh.
Yeah, I'm like, life is already depressing. It's hard to watch a show that's kind of depressing. You want something uplifting, and episode 4 was the answer to that, because it was more uplifting and not as sad and depressing, focusing on Victor's character. I love this actor. I think he's doing a great job in the season thus far, especially this episode, dive into his character more, and hopefully you get to see him more. And hopefully Josh snaps out of this in the upcoming episodes, figures this shit out, and we can move on with life and be in a happier place. We have enough shit going on in the world around us right now. So I want to see some more uplifting episodes, but we'll see what happens. With that being said, episode 4, Mr. Morales, Miles Morales, uncle, I'm talking about here, Victor. I'm going to give episode 4 a 4 out of 5 Victor hair pieces. That being said, check out our YouTube channel right here. We're going to have our review of A24's The Green Knight. We also have our reviews, episode 1 and 2 of What If. Episode 3 review will be coming up this week as well. More podcasts, interviews, and reviews right here on our YouTube channel. So subscribe below, and also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, cinefellas.com.
We love everybody. Thank you guys for watching another one of our reviews. We're enjoying reviewing Mr. Corman. We both love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We loved episode 4. He did a great job with this. This one was, that episode was directed by Aurora Guerrero. So it's nice that he involves other great writers and directors, and he's very collaborative in his efforts. So we can appreciate that, even though we don't really appreciate his character at this point. But yep, stay tuned. We'll be reviewing the next couple episodes in the next couple weeks. We got some great reviews to come. Keep your eyes peeled for that fellows giveaway. We're going to be announcing the winner next Thursday, September 2nd. And these two wild wrestlers are going to be meeting up in person next weekend. So we can't wait for that.
Labor Day!
Woo!
I jump off the side and land on my head.
Yeah, me and this guy are going to do the milk crate challenge. So get prepared.
We're going to be doing
video.
the milk crate challenge over Labor Day weekend after 2 cold Capri Suns with our kids. It's going to be wild. So we'll see if we shoot some footage for our YouTube channel of us getting wild for a little bit.
Yeah,
just have to
we'll have to do something. Yeah,
have to wait and see. So this is your 2 favorite teachers signing out from Cinefellas until the next TV review. Cheers!
Cheers!